All right. Just put that over here. All right. Good morning. Is the press ready? Yes. Wait, you want to, who's going, you go and me. Okay. Yeah. You want to put that right here? Okay. You good. Leave that right over here. All right. Okay. Press is all good? Thumbs up? All right. Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, good morning. I certainly want to thank and appreciate both the Secretary of State, Nancy Landry, and Attorney General Liz Murrill for helping us today and being a part of this press conference. You know, America is special, and no one doubts that, and no one questions that. That's why scores of people have sacrificed so much to come to this country. And it is a country like no other because it was founded on the belief that we are all created equal with certain unalienable rights that are granted to us by God and not by government. And from its beginning, America has always welcomed immigrants, and that is unquestionable as well. Our immigration system today is broken. It was broken over 14 years ago when I was in Congress, and it is still broken again today. It is broken. That's a product of a dysfunctional Washington. But because Washington is broken, it does not allow us to simply put aside our immigration laws and immigration policy. We can't just cast those into the wind just because we've got a dysfunctional federal government. And because if we do, we disrespect all of the great immigrants who came to America, who followed the process, who became a citizen and did it the right way. All of those who said, we want to come to America and we want to be American citizens. And so to ensure our democracy, our elections must be free and fair. That is the cornerstone of a constitutional republic. And of course, voting is one of the most sacred rights and responsibilities American citizens have. And let me repeat this. It is a solemn responsibility and privilege that American citizens have. And citizenship, of course, is a cornerstone for a country. And what does it mean to be a citizen? It means that a citizen is bestowed individual rights and responsibilities and duties towards a nation. And because America is special, being an American citizen requires a heightened responsibility to embrace the shared values, the histories, and the cultures that define what America is. American citizens are expected to uphold the principles of liberty, democracy, rule of law, and individual rights that form the foundation of our country. And how can one do that if one has broken the law when gaining access to this very country in the beginning? So the right to vote in the United States elections is a privilege that's reserved for American citizens, because citizenship should mean something. In Louisiana, election integrity is a top priority. Article 1, Section 10 of Louisiana's Constitution prohibits non-citizens from registering to vote or from voting in any election. This year, we signed 11 bills this session to improve Louisiana's election system. We signed specifically Senate Bill 436 by Senator Fessy that will allow the Secretary of State to ask for proof of citizenship from those registering to vote. Unfortunately, under the Biden-Harris regime, 7.8 million people have entered this country illegally. The vice president along with the president, allowed those people to come into this country. Virginia recently removed 6,000 non-citizens from their voter rolls, which highlights the fact that there are non-citizens who are registering to vote in this country. Every time an illegal alien votes, it cancels out a vote from a citizen. That's a disenfranchisement of American citizens. So today, I'm going to sign an executive order that states that all Louisiana agencies, while they must offer voter registration with every application for service assistance, they're going to make sure that they inform people that it is illegal to register to vote if you're not a citizen. Our agencies are providing voter registration forms. We're going to make sure that they don't provide voter registration forms to those that are undocumented and illegally in this country. This order will be in the form of a disclaimer on the declaration form. And just because you receive a voter registration form doesn't mean you're eligible to vote. This executive order makes it explicitly clear when applying for public assistance or state-funded programs exactly what the laws are in this state. And so with that, I'd like to turn it over to the Secretary of State to say a few words, and then to Attorney General Liz Murrill.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm thankful to be joined here by Governor Landry and Attorney General Murrill, and they've been more than willing to work with my office on the critical issue of keeping our elections safe, and for that, I'm very grateful. We want to be clear in our message today. It is illegal for non-citizens to register and to vote in our state. And we are in lockstep on this issue and will continue to work together to ensure that only Louisiana citizens are voting in Louisiana elections. Illegal immigration touches every aspect of life in Louisiana, from public safety to allocation of taxpayer dollars and even elections. In this year alone, the U.S. Border Patrol and Office of Field Operations has reported over 1.1 million encounters at the southern border. This comes as President Biden has also issued Executive Order 14019, which orders federal agencies to act as get-out-the-vote operations. This not only flies in the face of Article 1, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution, but also issues no requirement to ensure that those agencies that are ordered to register voters check an individual's citizenship status. Despite my efforts and the efforts of my colleagues around the country to demand answers of the Biden administration as to how they are implementing this executive order, we have been ignored time and again. This also comes as Governor Glenn Youngkin of Virginia recently announced the removal of over 6,300 non-citizens from his state's voter rolls. We've also seen Washington, D.C. starting to allow non-citizens to vote in their elections over the objection of even the Washington Post's editorial board. To be clear, I'm confident in the policies and procedures my office has in place to ensure the accuracy of our voter rolls and the integrity of our elections. Currently, we use data from the Office of Motor Vehicles and the Social Security Administration to verify individuals who register to vote. Someone who cannot be verified with those data sets are asked to submit more information before being eligible to vote. We also compare our voter registration list with the names of those who indicate that they are not U.S. citizens on jury questionnaires. This is in addition to the constitutional amendment that 73% of voters approved in 2022 that made clear that no non-citizen can vote in any Louisiana election. However, I will not let confidence turn to complacency, which is why I'm grateful to Governor Landry for signing my package of election integrity bills into law this year, including SB 436 by Senator Fazy, that will allow my office to ask for proof of citizenship from those registering to vote. I'm also grateful that he is taking this critical executive action to ensure that my office has the tools it needs to maintain confidence in our elections. It's refreshing to have a governor who cares about election integrity. Today's announcement by Governor Landry is the culmination of work between his office and mine and represents an extra layer of protection to ensure that only Louisiana citizens are voting in Louisiana. Louisiana voters can be confident in the policies we have in place to keep elections safe, but I will continue to work with the governor and with Attorney General Murrill and the legislature to ensure that our elections remain secure, and I won't be satisfied until we're number one in election integrity. Thank you.
Thank you. When I was a Boy Scout volunteer, I taught citizenship in the community, merit badge. And one of the most important things that we taught about citizenship in the community, in the country, and in the world was that your right to vote was a sacred right and a sacred obligation that you had as a citizen. Louisiana's elections are secure, and we plan to keep them that way. Illegal aliens cannot and will not be permitted to vote in Louisiana elections. Only Louisiana citizens can register, and only Louisiana citizens can vote. And we want to make sure through the executive order and through the actions of the Secretary of State that that is communicated clearly when they receive the paperwork that they receive when they apply for other benefits. Senator Mike Fessie's bill and his leadership with the co-authors allows the Secretary of State's office to require proof of United States citizenship when registering to vote, which seems like a very common sense thing to do. It's not controversial to ask for proof of citizenship to register to vote and to participate in our sacred elections. So if you are illegally registering to vote or helping someone to vote illegally, we will prosecute you, and I will investigate all credible evidence of individuals who are attempting to register people to vote who are not citizens of the United States. I fully support Secretary Landry's election integrity package, and many lawmakers and the governor supported those bills. I'm happy to support and defend them as may be necessary. Thank you.
Okay, with that, we're going to go up to the table and sign the executive order, and then we'll take some questions. And of course, we'll be making a copy of this executive order available to the press right after this signing of the question. We'll give the Attorney General the bid so she can use Exhibit A. All right, any questions? Yes, ma'am.
To date, have any non-citizens been found trying to register to vote in Louisiana or on Louisiana's voter rolls? If so, how
So we're in the process of assessing non-citizens that have been removed from our voter rolls. And I can tell you that 48 non-citizens have been removed from our voter rolls since 2022.
Were they allowed to vote? Do you have that evidence? Were they allowed to actually vote?
We're still assessing that and trying to run reports to see if they have. So we'll know shortly, but no, I don't have that information right now. 48 have been removed from our rolls, so it shows that there is a problem that people coming into our state are either mistakenly or with intention registering to vote. And so 48 have been challenged and removed, which shows that our policies and procedures that we have in place are effective at identifying and removing non-citizens. So our registrars of voters have identified them and challenged and removed them from the rolls.
And I'd like to just add to that there are over 40,000 temporary IDs that have been issued through DMV. So those are individuals who could have been handed a voter registration form, probably were handed because they are required to be handed that under federal law. So there is a possibility for someone to register even unintentionally. And that's part of the reason why we want the declaration on these forms, so that people understand what their legal obligations are and don't unintentionally, unintentionally register because they've been handed a form. So the form is going to very clearly identify that it is illegal to register and to vote. But there are 40,000 who have been simply given temporary IDs. It's a felony, and so, we want to make sure people aren't violating the law.
They're also attesting.
They're attesting that they are citizens of the United States. So it's a.
Yeah, I'm asking, how could someone be convicted, face jail time, and so
Yes, I'm not sure what the penalty is. Do you know what the penalty is?
I'm not sure offhand, but they can also.
I mean, a felony is more than a year in prison. So it's more than a year. Yes, it could be prison time, and yes, they could be deported because it's a felony.
And regardless, it's still against the law, irrespective if they spend a year in prison or 10 years in prison. They shouldn't be registering to vote either way. But yes, there is a penalty for it. Yeah. Yes, sir.
So what is the current process prior to the PO that the DMV does for registering someone? Are they not asking for an application? How does that work?
No,
No,
they get
Issuing
paper.
their identification.
So currently what's happening, and believe you, they will both correct me if I'm wrong. What happens is, so if you go to register with OMV, you go to get a driver's license at OMV, by law, especially through the federal executive order, you are offered an opportunity to register to vote. So you're given a form to be able to register to vote. What we're doing is adding another layer that ensures that when you get that form, if you are illegally in this country or you even have a visa, that unless you are an American citizen, you may not register to vote in Louisiana. And if you're not registered to vote in Louisiana, then you're not able to vote in Louisiana. You see? And so this executive order does that, puts it plainly in front of the person to ensure that they understand that what they're getting ready to do is illegal if they're trying to register to vote. Did that answer? Is that clear?
Yeah, under NVRA, all agencies that offer benefits, government benefits or services, are required to offer the opportunity to register to vote. And they're given a declaration form. What this executive order does is it puts on that declaration form a disclaimer that it is illegal to register to vote and to vote in Louisiana if you're not a citizen. And so they still have to give them the form and the declaration form, but the declaration form will make clear that it's illegal. And it's also my understanding that the governor is going to ask the OMV to share information with us about who is not a citizen. We've asked for that information in the past under a different administration and been denied it. So we're now confident that this administration is going to work with us to provide that information to us.
Yes, I will clarify that. There will be an executive order coming that is going to allow OMV to share that documentation with. Oh, it's in this one. Oh, yes, right before. Yes, this executive order actually covers exactly what the Secretary of State is asking for, and it's going to direct OMV to work with her office to ensure that she gets the information that she needs to verify that people who are registered to vote are citizens of the state of Louisiana and American citizens. Yes, ma'am.
So I just feel like I'm still a little bit unclear what exactly the executive order is going to do.
The executive order is going to instruct all of the agencies that are required to offer a person an opportunity to vote an additional declaration form and instructions that say, if you are not a citizen of the United States, you may not register to vote. And in addition to that, that executive order will also instruct Dan Casey, the OMV director, to share with the Secretary of State the information that he has on file, as the Attorney General mentioned, the over 40,000 somewhat odd IDs or licenses that we have issued to non-citizens so that she can compare that against the voter rolls. Is that okay? Those are,
Temporary licenses.
yeah,
There were 180 days, temporary licenses for asylum.
yeah, you want to, why don't you
Yeah,
clarify?
those are, so just to be clear, that 40,000 number encompasses 180-day permits. They are temporary licenses that if someone has proper documentation, which you asked about, they can obtain, but they still have to provide some documentation and they can get a temporary license. It's 180 days or a state ID, which then allows them to apply for other benefits, which are federal benefits. And when they apply for those federal benefits, they have to get that voter ID card. So we want to make sure they know, not when they get the voter registration card, not ID card, that they get the instructions that indicate that if you are not a U.S. citizen, then you cannot register and you cannot vote.
Let me clarify something too, because there is a lot of confusion on this. When the Biden-Harris administration dog whistled people into this country, okay, they let them in, right? Right underneath port of entries, legal port of entries. You couldn't set them there because that would have been illegal. So they dog whistled them across the Rio Grande. When they came in, the government gave them a piece of paper. This is very important for Americans, Louisianians, and the media to understand. When they processed them, they got a piece of paper. They were really not undocumented anymore. They were documented illegal aliens. And they were able, and they are able, to reside inside the United States as long as they have that paper. And what what the Attorney General was alluding to too, I believe, is that document is like for 180 days, but we know it's not 180 days. What the licenses are, and
Our permits are.
our permits are. But I think even when they give them that document, they're given a court date,
Yes.
and that court date, of course, continues to continue. And they reside in the United States for longer than we thought they should, right? So the government gives them a court date. They don't meet the court date. Anyhow, they walk around with that documentation. And so that documentation may allow them to get a driver's license in some other states. It may allow them, we may have to give them an ID so that we know who they are, okay? And so what this does is this ensures that when they go, because we know that illegal aliens in the United States are granted federal services. We know that. That is clear. But when they go to get those federal services, the federal agencies or the state agencies that administer those federal programs are required to give them an opportunity to register to vote. Not because they're here illegally, because they're supposed to do that to everyone who walks through the door. So here in Louisiana, we're going to ensure that if they walk through the door to get that federal service that they're entitled to based upon Congress and the federal government allowing them access to that program, that they will know in Louisiana they're not allowed to vote and they're not allowed to register to vote. Does that clarify that somewhat? Okay. All right. Thanks. Any other? Go ahead.
Right, so it's 48, not hundreds or thousands of numbers. Why is there a need to really implement this executive order in the state of Louisiana?
Wait, say that again.
So it's you said it's 48, that number, correct?
Mhm.
It's not hundreds or thousands of people, illegal immigrants. Why is there a need to implement this executive order in the state of Louisiana?
So registering to vote is the door to voting. And we have multiple races every election season that are decided by fewer than 48 votes, including my own first election, which was decided by 33 votes. And so every vote is critical, and every ineligible voter that is registered to vote opens the door to an ineligible voter voting in that election. And it can make a difference in a race in Louisiana, and it's against the law. And we're going to crack down on it. We're going to make sure that non-citizens are not registering to vote. They're not voting. And if they are, we will refer them for prosecution.
Okay. Then any more? We'll take one more if anybody has one more. Okay. Yeah. Say again. I think what the Secretary of State says is it's currently under investigation and being evaluated. I can promise you, if she does, you'll probably be one of the first to know. Okay, thank you so very much.
Thank you.